You want to vibrate at the frequency of your dreams, but you keep carrying internal habits that belong to the life you claim you want to leave behind. And that's not poetic, it's mechanical. Visible reality is an echo of what you sustain within. The world doesn't negotiate with requests. It responds to the identity you embody. It doesn't give you what you would like. It gives you back what you deem normal when no one is watching. Therefore, before trying to conquer anything, you need to eliminate what keeps your mind stuck in the old place. The frequency of dreams isn't a mystery. It's a repeated choice. Like a radio station, you don't beg for the music to play. You turn the dial and stay on that channel. Most people tune in for an instant, feel a flicker of hope, and then return to the static because they're used to the static, and they call the static realism. Realism, in the mouths of many, is just the elegant name doubt uses to sound intelligent. Dreams demand permanence, and permanence demands cuts, clean cuts, daily cuts. If you want to understand this concretely, imagine your state is the temperature of a room. You can hang posters of prosperity and love on the walls, but if the internal heater is set to the cold of fear, the environment remains cold. Reality senses the temperature, not the posters. You can say you believe, but if internally you live in a state of alert, the world will return situations of alert to you. What changes the temperature is what you sustain when enthusiasm fades. And another thing, your state is like a perfume. You can pretend for a few minutes, but the real scent is what you carry when no one sees you. It's this scent that attracts people, opportunities, coincidences, but also roadblocks, delays, and confusion. There's no randomness in a mirror. There's coherence. You're not here to collect techniques. You're here to assume a state and live from it. Technique without identity is entertainment. Identity without discipline is fantasy. What I'm going to tell you now is direct. There are things that, as long as they exist within you, prevent any elevated frequency from remaining. You might even touch the dream for a few minutes when you're inspired, but then you fall back because you carry invisible anchors. And an anchor isn't convinced, an anchor is cut. Start by eliminating your dependence on noise. Noise isn't just sound, it's excessive stimulation, excessive opinion, excessive comparison, excessive information that doesn't become direction. You wake up and immediately surrender your attention to the world. Notifications, headlines, complaints, disputes, others' desires. You do this without realizing it, and then wonder why your mind feels like a crowded room. A crowded mind cannot sustain an image. It keeps changing channels impulsively, and your dream becomes just another fleeting thought among 1,000 fleeting thoughts. Attention is your most valuable currency. You wouldn't hand your wallet to any stranger on the street, but you hand your attention to anything that shouts loudest, and everything that receives your attention receives your fuel. You water fear, fear grows. You water lack, lack grows. You water the image of your new self, direction grows. You feed a state, and then are surprised when it turns into your reality. Eliminating noise isn't fleeing the world. It's reclaiming authority. It's choosing with discipline what comes in and what doesn't. Your body reveals when you're being invaded. Tight chest, shallow breath, irritation for no reason, persistent fatigue. You think it's just stress, but it's alarm training. And someone trained for alarm doesn't live at the frequency of dreams. They live at the frequency of threat. You can say, I want peace. But if you live intoxicating yourself with noise, you are teaching your body to expect war. Make a simple pact with yourself. Before engaging with the world, engage with your state. Before listening to voices, choose your own. Before receiving, emit. Upon waking, for a few minutes, don't look for news, look for sensation. Dress your mind in the garments of your dream, a clear internal scene, a firm feeling of resolution, a posture of someone already on their way. You don't need an hour, you need command. And command is born in silence. Silence isn't emptiness. Silence is space for decision. See how an artist works. A musician doesn't learn in the middle of a bustling market. A musician closes the door, tunes their instrument, repeats the same measure until their body obeys. And when they step onto the stage, it seems natural. Your life is the stage, your imagination is the instrument. If you train your mind in noise, it will go out of tune under pressure. If you train in silence, it will remain when the world tries to pull you away. And if you think this is difficult, observe what you already do without realizing it. You train your mind every day to react. You train to worry, to compare, to get annoyed. You just don't call it training because it's automatic. Now you will train the opposite. You will create a small inner territory that the world cannot invade, because dreams are not built with leftover energy. They demand clean energy, complete focus, and a firm identity. In the pinned comment, there is direct and practical material to put you in command, a step-by-step guide to building clear internal images, aligning emotion and thought, correcting the most common mistakes that make people give up, and applying daily exercises to sustain the right state until it turns into results. If you want to transform imagination into discipline, go to the link in the pinned comment and train like someone who takes their own life seriously. Now eliminate the compulsion to look for external signs for permission to believe. You say you want to live something greater, but you keep interrogating the world. Is it for me? Will it happen now? Give me a sign. This is an elegant prison, because when you depend on evidence to sustain your state, you only allow yourself to believe after everything has already happened. And many things only reveal themselves after you sustain them beforehand. You get stuck in a circle. You wait to assume, and you don't assume because you're waiting. This is like expecting the GPS to show you the complete route without you leaving your spot. The GPS recalculates when you move. Life recalculates when you assume. Most people want to see the entire path to finally believe, but the path appears to those already in internal motion. When you understand this, you stop interpreting every turn as punishment and start seeing it as an adjustment. You also need to eliminate the superstitious reading of everyday life. There are people who live collecting coincidences, random phrases, others' movements, as if everything were an authorization or a condemnation. This is just fear-seeking crutches. If you want stability, stop living at the mercy of clues. No clue sustains a dream. State sustains. You hunt for confirmations like someone hunting for crumbs. You interpret a delay as a sentence. You interpret a cold response as a condemnation. You interpret a bad day as an omen. And you don't realize that you are making life a courtroom when it is a mirror. A mirror doesn't give you advice, it reflects the posture you are displaying. If you approach it trembling, it returns tremor. If you approach it firmly, it returns firmness. Think of a traffic light. Many people see the red light and conclude, I'm never going to get there. They don't understand that the traffic light doesn't define the destination, it only indicates the moment. The light changes, the path continues, but within your mind, you transform every detail into a prophecy. You take a neutral event and write over it. This proves it won't work. And then you abandon the state you were building. Learn to read symbolically. When something goes against you, don't turn it into an attack, turn it into a diagnosis. Where was I giving in internally? When someone doubts you, don't turn it into a prophecy, turn it into a reminder. Am I still trying to be approved? When a door closes, don't say it's over. Say, this isn't the path, but the state remains. The state is the ship. The facts of the day are the wind. You don't change your destination because the wind changed. You adjust the sails and maintain course, and do the opposite of common habit. When a sign that pleases you appears, don't use it as a 5-minute anesthetic, only to return to your old fear. Use it as practice, sustain it even more. And when a sign that frightens you appears, don't collapse. Use it as an alarm. Adjust your focus and return. You turn everything into practice. Life becomes a gym, not a verdict. Someone who vibrates at the frequency of dreams doesn't ask for proof. They become the proof, and the world organizes itself around that posture. Next, eliminate the identity of someone who apologizes for wanting more. This poison is subtle because it hides in simple phrases. I wanted to, but I don't know if I deserve it. Who am I to do this? As long as you speak like this, you sign a contract for a smaller life. And reality respects internal contracts. It doesn't punish you, it merely confirms. You can desire a broad horizon, but if your identity remains kneeling, the scenario remains small. Your dream isn't too big. It's you who is too small within yourself. And this isn't an insult, it's an invitation. What you lack isn't opportunity, it's an assumed identity. You don't move towards a dream like visiting a place. You move like shedding skin, and skin isn't shed with hesitation. Many people maintain a small identity like someone wearing an old uniform. It's tight, uncomfortable, but gives a sense of belonging. In my family, it's like this. People like me don't get there. This isn't humility, it's loyalty to fear. True humility is admitting that you can change your state and committing to it, even if you're trembling inside. Trembling isn't a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. Fear is just the old self protesting. If you want a simple image, think of someone carrying a suitcase full of stones and complaining that the road is long. The road hasn't changed. The suitcase weighs on every step. The small identity is that suitcase. It weighs on your choices. You accept crumbs not to risk, speak softly not to be seen, postpone not to take responsibility. Then you call this destiny. Eliminate the suitcase. You will discover that the path was always less cruel than it seemed. The weight was within you. And when you eliminate excuses, you eliminate hesitation. When you eliminate hesitation, you eliminate the need for approval. When you eliminate the need for approval, your energy returns to what matters, becoming compatible. Compatibility is posture, it's decision, it's permanence. It's the way you walk when no one is applauding. The world doesn't open doors out of pity, it opens doors because you are already in a position to cross. Remember a common scene. Someone receives an opportunity and, before even trying, already begins to justify why it won't work out. The person does this to protect their ego. If they fail, they say they already knew. If they don't even try, they pretend they chose. But life doesn't negotiate with pretense. It responds to courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action with fear, sustained by a greater state. You eliminate the apology when you stop seeing yourself as someone lesser before the world and start seeing yourself as a cause. Then eliminate incoherent internal conversation. You cannot say you assume a state, and at the first difficulty of the day return to speaking like someone condemned. You declare greatness for a minute and spend hours rehearsing failure. You create an image of victory and then direct an entire movie of defeat. This is like trying to heat a house while leaving the windows open. The mind doesn't respond to what you occasionally desire. It responds to what you repeat with emotion and the tone with which you repeat it. Your inner dialogue is the screenwriter of your life. It chooses the mood, the soundtrack, the ending. And many people hand this script over to a bitter critic who only knows how to point out risks. Fire that critic, not with childish optimism, but with discipline of language and tone. Because it's not just what you say, it's how you say it internally. There's a way of breathing that says, I trust, and a way of breathing that says, I am being pursued. Your body participates in the state. Adjust your body and you facilitate permanence. There's an inner judge that some people gladly feed. It analyzes, accuses, condemns, and repeats the same verdict every day. You are weak. You are late. You always mess everything up. Each phrase is a hammer. And do you expect to build a dream under hammer blows? You need to stop allowing this courtroom within yourself. Dreams are born in fertile ground, not on a battlefield. When you notice the old dialogue beginning, don't argue with it. Interrupt. Choose a short phrase that represents your state and repeat it firmly, like someone establishing an internal law. Then, close your eyes for an instant and see a final picture. You already living the outcome, already breathing a sigh of relief, already occupying the place you desire. It doesn't need to last long. It needs to be true. Then return to the day without dramatizing. You've just swapped one track for another, and don't wait to believe to start. Belief comes from habit. A musician doesn't wait to feel inspired to practice. They practice until inspiration obeys. An athlete doesn't wait for their body to be perfect to train. They train until their body changes. You don't wait for your mind to be silent to command. You command until silence appears. The old version of you always tries to reinstall itself because it knows that territory. Your internal dialogue is the update. If you keep running the old version, you will get old answers, old results. And it's not just what you think, It's what you allow to play in the background. Some people spend the entire day with a pessimistic internal narrator, like a radio of doom. This steals energy without you realizing it. So make a clean cut. When the narrator starts telling the old story, you don't follow along. You don't give it a stage. You change the subject internally, just as you would change the music that is making you feel heavy. You can use a simple mental image. Imagine a theater director. If the director accepts any improvisation, the play turns into chaos. Your inner dialogue is direction. You decide what enters the scene. You decide what is repeated. You decide the energy of the character you are being. The dream demands a new version, installed daily in the language you allow within yourself. And, to complete it, eliminate the urgency to control the how and the when. This is the last knot that ties many people down. They want the dream, but they want to dictate the path, the time, the complete script. When life doesn't obey their schedule, they interpret it as failure. Urgency is disbelief in a hurry. It's as if you're saying, if it doesn't happen my way and now, then it won't happen. You reduce the possible to the size of your fear. Haste also uses another disguise. It calls itself analysis. You think you're being rational, but you're seeking guarantees not to commit. You want the entire map before the first step. But the first step is what reveals the second. Those who try to control everything stay still. And being still, they call it waiting for the right moment. The right moment is when you decide to be different internally, even without external guarantees. Observe nature. A seed doesn't yell at the earth. It doesn't open the ground with its own hands to check if it has already rooted. It remains in the process. This isn't passivity, it's internal order. You plant the state, water it with attention and emotion, and continue living as someone who has already chosen their destiny. The how organizes itself around the state, not around your control. And beware of unripe fruit. You plant today, look at the tree tomorrow and want to harvest. You pull the fruit prematurely and complain it has no taste. You ruined the process. Dreams mature in permanence, not in anxiety. You act, but you act from the state, not to beg for the state. You don't run like someone fleeing. You walk like someone arriving. You don't try to convince the world. You embody the decision and let the world adjust. Eliminating the how doesn't mean staying immobile. It means acting coherently, without turning every step into a final judgment. Think of an automatic door. If you frantically bang on it in desperation, you'll only hurt yourself and look foolish. The door opens when you reach the right distance and with the right direction. The how is like this. It responds to your alignment, not your desperation. When you stop crushing the moment with urgency, you begin to see opportunities that haste made invisible. The frequency of dreams has a wide vision. The frequency of fear only sees the next threat. It means not putting a leash on reality, demanding it move to alleviate your insecurity. The dream state doesn't live checking the clock, it lives busy being. And the world sooner or later learns to obey what you don't abandon. Now listen carefully. You don't eliminate these things once, and that's it. You eliminate them every day. You cut out the noise, you cut out the dependence on signs. You cut out the guilt for wanting more. You cut out the incoherence of internal dialogue. You cut out the urgency, and every cut returns energy. Every cut returns focus. Every cut returns identity. Many people cling to their own suffering because it gives them personality and feels familiar. Let go of that. You are not your old story. Your past is a portrait, not a house. You choose again before the old automatism chooses for you. Do you want to vibrate at the frequency of your dreams? Then stop treating your state as something fragile. Stop behaving like someone who needs perfect circumstances to believe. The state is yours. The imagination is yours. The command is yours. Reality is not in control, it is subordinate. It obeys what you sustain with conviction, repetition, and calm. And calm here isn't passivity. It's silent certainty. It's the strength of someone who doesn't need to prove anything to continue. If you fall, don't dramatize. Get up and resume. If your mind tries to return to the old script, you interrupt and write again. If the world offers you evidence of the past, you don't kneel before it, you remain. Your job isn't to convince the world, it's not to betray yourself. because internal betrayal always comes before external delay. You abandon the state internally and then complain that reality was slow. No, you delayed, you let go, so this time don't let go. Not out of blind stubbornness, but out of fidelity to what you chose to be. And when your mind tries to say, "This isn't for me," remember, that thought isn't you. It's an old habit asking for continuity. You don't need to argue with a habit. You need to replace it. You swap the old command for a new command and move on. You're not here to be guided by scenes. You're here to guide your state until the scenes surrender. If you want a simple way to train this daily, with clear visualization exercises, mental adjustments, practical tools, and a method to keep your energy high and your internal image alive until it becomes reality, the link in the pinned comment is there for that. Use it as practice and truly commit. And I conclude in the only way that matters: stop begging for external changes. Stop looking outward like someone asking for handouts of luck. You don't need to beg for a sign, for a chance, for an opening. You need to command in silence and certainty that your reality obey the state you chose to inhabit. From now on, choose the state and sustain it. When the old self asks for rest, give it silence, not command. You decide. Stay firm, stay clean, stay coherent. And let the world learn, through the strength of your state, that a dream isn't something you wait for. It's something you sustain until it becomes obvious. Man speaks and the universe responds. Every word that leaves your mouth is a silent decree that shapes the invisible and gives form to the visible. Most people live as if their words were merely sounds, but each one is a seed planted in the soil of reality. The world you see is nothing more than the echo of what you once affirmed, felt, and believed. Therefore, when you speak, you create. When you are silent, you protect. Silence, when imbued with faith, is more powerful than 1,000 anxious confessions. There is a secret that the ancients knew and that modern humanity has forgotten. Power lies not in saying everything, but in safeguarding what is still being formed. What is sacred is not exposed. Just as the womb protects the fetus, silence protects desire. One who speaks too much about what they want destroys it before it is born. For every word of doubt, curiosity, or fear is like opening the earth before the seed has taken root. The awakened individual understands that the world does not need to know what they are creating, because what they create does not come from the world. It comes from the invisible. When you rush to tell a plan, a vision, a dream, you haven't yet convinced yourself that it is already real within you. It is insecurity that seeks witnesses, not faith. Faith does not need to be seen, only felt. And that is why there are certain things you should never tell anyone. Not because others have power over your destiny, but because your destiny is shaped by the state you maintain in silence. The energy of your inner world is delicate, and when you share it with minds that still live in fear, doubt, and limitation, that energy mixes and weakens. When I say do not tell, I speak not of secrecy out of vanity, but of protection out of wisdom. Silence is the Creator's shield. It is the space where the invisible works without interference. And what is conceived in silence is born with strength. Conversely, what is exposed prematurely dies suffocated by the curious gaze of the world. Therefore, pay attention. Every word you release is an act of creation. Every confession, an invitation for the universe to act. But not every desire is ready to be exposed. There are desires still being molded by the fire of imagination, and the sacred fire does not show itself, it is only felt. Today, I want to reveal to you the 5 things that should never be said. 5 secrets that ancient masters kept not out of fear, but out of understanding of the law. Because whoever understands that the world is merely a reflection of the inner state also understands that there are words that build and words that destroy. And one who masters what they speak, masters what they live. The first thing you should never tell anyone is what is still being born within you. Your plans, your dreams, your purest intentions, everything that still lives only in the realm of the invisible, must remain guarded until it becomes flesh, until the world sees it for itself. The common person believes they need to announce what they will do to commit to their own word. But the awakened individual understands that true commitment is to silence. Because in silence there is no interference, no doubt, no resistance. It is there that power concentrates, matures, and manifests. Every time you speak of what you are still creating, you divide the energy that should be used for materialization. The external world does not need to know what you are conceiving, because the external world is not the cause, it is merely the mirror. When you share something that is not yet consolidated, you open the door to the gaze of others, and their gaze carries judgments, fears, and vibrations that do not belong to you. There are people who, unconsciously, plant doubt when they hear your dreams. Not because they wish you ill, but because they do not believe in themselves, and they project this disbelief onto everything around them. When you tell, you invite these energies to participate in the creation of your world, and the result is that the power that was once unified becomes fragmented. The creator who speaks prematurely is like the sculptor who shows an unfinished stone and allows others to opine on what it should become. But the master knows that the work is only revealed when it is complete. True power is silent. It does not seek approval, does not ask for applause, does not need witnesses. It is self-sufficient, because it already sees itself as complete, even before being seen. And this is what you must learn. It is not the world that needs to believe in you. It is you who must believe in such a way that the world has no choice but to confirm. When you are silent and remain firm in the desired state, the invisible begins to act, reorganizing everything around to correspond to the image you hold within yourself. Silence is not passivity, it is concentrated creation. Think of a seed. It does not show itself while germinating. If someone unearths it prematurely, it dies. So it is with your desires. Every time you speak, it is as if you unearth what the universe is still nurturing. That is why the ancient wise ones said that the word creates, but also destroys. Use it with reverence. What you create in silence flourishes with strength. What you expose too early is lost in the wind of others' curiosity. Guard what is sacred. Speak only when the fruit is ripe, because only then will the world be ready to receive it, and you to harvest it. The second thing you should never tell is what has hurt you. Do not recount your pains, your humiliations, the injustices you suffered, nor the mistakes that made you bleed inside. Every time you speak of the past, you reanimate it. Every painful memory you share is a new breath given to a body that should already be dead. And as long as one revives what has hurt them, they remain chained to it. The past is a specter that feeds on your attention, and what you speak with emotion, you recreate. The modern world has accustomed people to believe that speaking is healing, but the awakened individual understands that there is a difference between awareness and repetition. Awareness liberates, repetition imprisons. You do not need to deny what happened, but you need to stop giving it power, because the power you give to memory is the same power you take from the present. The wound does not define you. It merely shows where you forgot who you are. When you recall it with emotion, you are telling the universe, I am still this. And the universe, obedient, keeps you in that state. There is a silent strength in those who choose not to victimize themselves. The one who is silent about their pains is not cold. They are wise. They understand that what hurt them was not the event, but the interpretation they gave to it. And they decide not to identify with suffering because they know that suffering is merely a fleeting mask of the soul. You are the observer, not the drama. You are the creator, not the character. Speaking of pain is redonning the wounded character. To be silent is to allow the author, your true self, to rewrite the story. Some say, but if I don't tell, I won't be free. I tell you, it is the opposite. It is precisely by telling too much that you do not free yourself. Words repeat the cycle. Silence interrupts it. Healing happens when the past ceases to be a topic and becomes an absorbed lesson. When one stops narrating their pain, the universe understands that they no longer need that experience, and then the new begins. When you feel the urge to say, they did this to me, say only within yourself, I learned. When you want to explain how much you suffered, say in silence, I awakened. Because the soul does not evolve through drama, but through understanding. Every tear is a step, but only if you do not cling to it. Therefore, never recount your pain to be heard, nor your suffering to be consoled. One who understands the law of assumption knows that what you affirm with emotion becomes your reality, And silence, in this case, is the greatest cry of liberation you can utter. The third thing you should never say is your doubt. Doubt is denial disguised as prudence, and when you express it, it becomes alive. Every time one says, "I don't know if it will work," they are decreeing their own limitation. Doubt, when spoken, gains form and authority. And the universe does not distinguish between fear and faith. It only obeys the dominant vibration. When you verbalize uncertainty, you instruct life to hesitate along with you. The invisible only responds to clear commands. Faith speaks with certainty, doubt whispers in confusion, and the universe understands only one language, that of conviction. The common person believes that expressing their insecurities makes them authentic. But authenticity without wisdom is merely exposed weakness. The awakened individual, on the contrary, understands that power is born from the coherence between what one feels and what one affirms. If doubt exists within you, work on it in silence until the feeling aligns with certainty. But do not proclaim it. Do not share it. Do not surrender it to the world. Spoken doubt spreads like smoke, contaminates the air around you, and weakens the structure of what you are building. When you say, "I don't think I'll make it, maybe it's not for me," or "What if it doesn't work out?" you are instructing the universe to confirm that state. Every phrase transforms into form. Every emotional expression is a silent command. And the world, being merely a mirror, returns to you exactly what it heard. Therefore, never say what you fear. Fear, when named, becomes reality. Silence, when imbued with faith, dissolves any obstacle. Doubt is the opposite of creation. It is the interval between desire and acceptance, the space where energy disperses. When one believes, the universe bows. When one hesitates, the universe pauses and observes, awaiting the next command. One who speaks in uncertainty lives a life of instability. One who speaks with conviction transforms the impossible into routine. It is not the size of the desire that defines the outcome, but the degree of certainty with which you assume it. Therefore, when doubt comes, be silent. Look within and feel the truth that cannot yet be seen. Silence sustained by faith is the language of creators. It is there that the invisible moves. Words are instruments of power, but when used to express fear, they become chains. Do not allow your tongue to give form to what your soul wishes to overcome. Speak only what you want to see happen. Doubt must die in thought before it reaches the voice. And faith, this indeed must be proclaimed, because every word spoken with certainty is a seed cast into the fertile soil of eternity. The fourth thing you should never tell is how much you suffer. Do not speak of your pains nor your struggles, nor the burden you carry in silence. Suffering is like a fire. It can purify or consume, depending on how you feed it. And every time you describe it, you blow oxygen onto the flames. Speaking of pain is to fixate it, to keep it alive in the imagination, and everything kept in the imagination multiplies in the visible world. The awakened individual understands that suffering does not need witnesses, it needs transmutation. When you share it with those who do not understand the law, you transform pain into identity. When you sustain it in silence, you transform it into strength. The world applauds those who suffer loudly, but the universe rewards those who suffer in silence, and even so choose to affirm, "All is well." This is not a denial of reality, it is a declaration of mastery over it. Suffering is not a sentence, it is a signal. It points to the place where you are resisting the truth of who you are. When you speak it, you crystallize it. When you observe it in silence, it dissolves. The wise person does not pretend that pain does not exist, but refuses to turn it into conversation. They understand that there is a time to feel and a time to be silent, and silence is the portal to healing. Pain recounted seeks compassion. Pain understood finds liberation. But the world's compassion is superficial. It keeps you in the role of victim, while understanding returns you to the throne of Creator. When you talk about how much you suffer, you attract the attention of those who vibrate at the same frequency of pain, and this communion creates a circle of lamentation from which it is difficult to escape. Shared suffering multiplies. Transmuted suffering, however, elevates. There is power in not telling. There is power in withdrawing and looking inward, saying, I understand the purpose of this. Because everything that comes to you, including pain, was attracted by a state you maintained, and just as it was created, it can be dissolved. The awakened individual does not ask the world to understand their pain, they use it as a stepping stone. They do not deny it, but neither do they display it. They cross through it with dignity, because they know that suffering is merely the reflection of resistance to inner change. Therefore, do not speak of your pain to be heard. Use it to hear yourself. Do not recount what hurts you. Recount what heals you. Do not repeat the scenes of what made you fall. Repeat the image of what will make you rise. Every word is a decree, and one who decrees pain lives in it. But one who sustains peace, even amidst the storm, is already being healed. The silence of the one who trusts is the loudest sound in the universe. The fifth thing you should never say is that you are waiting for something. Because by saying, "I am waiting," you confess that you do not yet possess it, and everything declared as absent remains absent. The awakened individual understands that time is merely an illusion created by the state of consciousness. When you say, "One day it will happen," "My time has not yet come," or "I am waiting for the right moment," you surrender your power to the future and abandon the present, the only point where power truly exists. The universe does not work with distant promises, but with states assumed now. The Creator does not wait, they recognize. Waiting is doubt's most subtle disguise. It appears as patience, but it is resistance. It arises from the belief that something still needs to happen outside of you for your desire to be fulfilled, but everything is already done. The invisible moves when you assume the state of possession. If you say, "I am waiting for love," you are affirming that love is not present. If you say, "I am waiting to prosper," you are telling the universe that you are still lacking. And the universe, obedient, reflects that state. One who understands the law does not ask, does not wait. They behave as if they have already received. They act, feel, and live as if the desire is already part of their nature. The common person waits for the sign, the awakened individual is the sign, because when you see yourself as one who already possesses, the world adjusts to confirm your belief. Everything begins in feeling. You attract not what you want, but what you are. And while you define yourself as one who waits, you are affirming that you are not yet. This is the most delicate prison the ego builds, the illusion that something is coming, when in reality everything is already within. The Creator does not wait for the fruit. They know they have planted it and live with the certainty of the harvest. Therefore, never say that you are waiting. Say, "It is already mine," not aloud but in vibration. Feel as if you are already complete. Walk as one who already possesses. Waiting tires, but recognition liberates. Time is merely the reflection of your acceptance. When you accept now, the universe obeys now. And when you postpone the feeling, the universe postpones the manifestation. There is no blessing in the future. There is only the reflection of the present state. Tomorrow is created by today's assumption. So abandon the language of waiting. Replace one day with "it already is." The Creator does not wait to see to believe. They believe and then they see. Stop speaking of time, and time will bow before you. Because the one who lives in the realized now does not wait. They manifest. Everything you have seen so far points to a single truth. Power lies not in what you show, but in what you maintain in silence. One who speaks without awareness surrenders their strength to the wind, but one who guards with wisdom transforms the invisible into destiny. The world is a copy of what you affirm within yourself, and every word is a brick in the construction of your reality. People believe they need to explain what they are experiencing, justify what they desire, or share what they feel. But the true master does not explain. They manifest. They understand that words are divine instruments, and that using them without purpose is to waste creative energy. The universe does not respond to noise. It responds to vibration, and the silence of one who knows is the highest vibration that exists. Therefore, the awakened individual does not speak about what they want. They feel as if it already is. They do not comment on their pain, they transform it into wisdom. They do not express doubt, they dissolve it into certainty. They do not wait, they recognize. Everything the world calls a miracle is merely the result of someone who knew when to be silent and maintain the correct state. You were born to command reality, not to beg it. Stop begging for external changes and start silently commanding what you wish to see reflected. When you internally assume that you already possess it, the universe organizes itself around that decision. There is no mystery. There is only discipline. One who is silent in the midst of the storm and says to themselves, "It's over," sees the sun emerge faster than one who laments the wind. So from now on, make your silence an altar and your words sacred decrees. Speak only what you want to live. Think only what you wish to see. And when the world asks what you are doing, smile. Because only the silence of creators announces the birth of a new world. Everything already is. Everything is already within. And one who understands this never again begs. They simply create. You look around and believe that destiny is a roulette wheel, that random events accumulate and decide the course of life. But I tell you with all authority, there is no luck, no chance, no whim of external forces casting your paths to the wind. What you are experiencing now at this very moment is merely the echo of a decree already made within you, often without realizing it. Life is like a faithful mirror that invents nothing on its own. It merely reflects, with absolute precision, what consciousness has delivered to it as a model. And that is why a single word, when understood and used with conviction, can completely transform your reality in a matter of hours. The word is Amen. But not as you have been using it, as a formal period at the end of your prayers. Amen is not a farewell. It is not a religious formula. It is not an empty ritual. Amen is a seal. It is the invisible signature that closes doubt and opens certainty. It is the final hammer blow that drives the decree into the invisible. So it is confirmed, it has already happened. You pronounce it without thinking, but within it lies an ancient and unbreakable law. Everything sealed with Amen must manifest. Not because the external world wills it, but because the invisible has already accepted it as fact. Imagine a contract being signed in front of witnesses. When the pen touches the paper and the signature is made, no one discusses whether it will happen. It is signed. It is sealed. It is only a matter of time before the effects are felt. The same occurs with the conscious use of Amen. You can no longer use this word as if closing a lifeless prayer. You must use it as if stamping approval on your desired reality. If your heart asks for prosperity, do not say maybe someday. If the natural mind demands proof, do not engage in debates. Simply declare Amen. And there, at that instant, invisible life moves to organize the threads of reality in favor of what has been sealed. You need to understand that the natural mind is like a restless child, always asking for signs, always asking, has it arrived? Is it coming? But every time you say Amen, you silence it. You say, it is done. Ask me no more. This is the key to attracting within 24 hours what once seemed distant, because the universe cannot resist a decree sealed with conviction. It has no choice. It must obey the internal state that has already been affirmed. Do not treat Amen as an empty sound. Treat it as a sword. Each time you pronounce it silently or in a low voice, you are engraving into the invisible the certainty that what you desire already belongs to you. And when this is done consciously, the mind begins to change its stance. The body reacts. You move as one who already possesses. And in this state, everything accelerates, everything approaches, everything bows to the decree. You were not born to beg. You did not come to earth to implore external forces to decide for you. You came to decree. The power was given to you, but many waste it with doubts, with prayers of despair, with weightless words. Use Amen as a seal. Say Amen and let life do the rest. You will see money, opportunities, and miracles arrive unexpectedly because the invisible cannot withstand the firmness of one who has already confirmed their inheritance. Amen is not the end. Amen is the beginning of manifestation. It is the certification that the work is already complete, even if human eyes do not see it. And from this moment, if you have the courage to seal your desires with this word and do not retreat, you will see within 24 hours that the external world bows to the internal decree. And when that happens, you will never again live as victims. You will live as creators. How many times have you found yourself surrounded by thoughts of doubt? It's as if an insistent, cruel inner voice tries to sabotage every confident step you take. You decide to believe you can prosper, but then comes the whisper. What if it doesn't work out? What if it's just imagination? What if you're deceiving yourself? This battle is not against people, nor against external circumstances. This war happens within you, and it is the natural mind trying to tie you to the old state, the state of limitation. It doesn't easily accept a new vision because it has been conditioned to trust only what the eyes see and what the senses prove. But it is precisely at this point that the word I give you becomes an invincible weapon. Amen. When doubt appears, most people tend to argue with it. The mind begins to question, and you respond by trying to explain, trying to convince, trying to bring logic to what is spiritual. And the more you argue, the more strength you give to the thought that should be silenced. The secret is not to argue, the secret is to seal. Instead of spending energy justifying why you believe, simply end the conversation with a decree. Amen. This word has the power to close the door, like someone locking a dark room so that nothing else can emerge from it. It cuts the cycle of doubt and establishes that what has been assumed is already confirmed. Consider this. You desire prosperity. The apparent reality is one of scarcity, perhaps even accumulated bills. You look at your bank balance and your mind screams, "It is impossible to change this quickly, there's no way." Normally you would try to think positive, or search for proof that it's possible, but the path is different. To each accusation from the mind, you respond internally. Amen. So it is. It is already signed in the invisible. There is no more room for negotiation. You don't argue with the bank, you don't argue with logic. You seal it like someone striking the gavel in court and closing the case. This conscious use of Amen tricks the natural mind because it expects a justification. It wants you to show it external proof to shut it up. But when you surprise it with a definitive answer, without explanation, just the seal, it no longer finds fertile ground. It loses its strength, and at that instant, your energy, which was previously wasted in internal discussions, begins to be used to sustain the vision of what you desire. The silence that Amen generates within is the space where the miracle begins to manifest. Imagine a person signing a sales contract. Before the signature, there are questions, doubts, negotiations, but the moment the pen marks the paper and the signature is made, it's over. There's no more conversation. It is signed. This is exactly how Amen works in the practice of imagination. Doubt may persist, but you have already stamped it. Amen. The invisible contract has been affirmed. The mind may even grumble, but it no longer has the power to change what has been sealed. And here is what few understand. The speed of manifestation depends on the firmness with which you seal your thoughts. Those who debate with doubt prolong the process. Those who immediately close the door with the seal of Amen shorten the path. That is why many things move in 24 hours. Because you did not allow the natural mind to grow roots of uncertainty. You did not feed the wavering. You simply sealed it, and the invisible, which is obedient, immediately began to work to align circumstances. So the next time doubt comes, don't explain, don't argue, don't plead. Respond only with the seal. Say internally, Amen. And remain silent, knowing that what has been sealed already is. This is the first move of authority, learning to end the conversation with the natural mind and not giving it the power to dictate your experience. Because where Amen exists, doubt no longer exists. And where there is no doubt, the miracle finds a swift path to manifest. Have you ever noticed that you often repeat beautiful words, affirmations, and even prayers, but feel that nothing truly changes? It's because the mind isn't convinced by sounds alone. It needs to be tricked by vivid images. Saying you believe in prosperity while inwardly seeing yourself in lack is like planting a seed in dry soil. No root can survive. The word Amen only reveals its strength when associated with a concrete inner vision. It's not enough to pronounce it. You must seal something that can already be seen within you. Close your eyes for an instant and see yourself exactly as you wish to be. See the bank statement with high figures. Imagine the deposit notification arriving on your phone. Feel your hands counting cash. Hear the sound of notes moving between your fingers. Don't imagine as someone watching a distant film. See yourself as the protagonist. Allow the scene to be so real in your mind that your body begins to react. Your heart accelerates, a smile appears, your breathing changes. It is at this moment that you declare internally, Amen. This word seals the scene and transforms it into fact. It is no longer in the realm of maybe someday, but in the domain of certainty. The common error is to use Amen automatically, as if it were just a period. But the true power lies in connecting it to a clear image, so strong that the natural mind cannot distinguish whether it is a memory or imagination. It simply accepts, and once accepted, it begins to organize the external world to correspond. The natural mind is limited, but imagination is infinite. When you seal a scene with Amen, there is no turning back. The decree has already been registered in the invisible. Many will say, but I tried to visualize and felt nothing. That's because they were forcing it. It's not about effort, but about surrender. Let the scene come gently, even if simple. You signing a contract, receiving a message, paying a bill without worry. And when this scene arises, however small, declare Amen. Feel that it is signed. This simplicity is what cuts the cycle of doubt. Each image sealed with Amen is like a seed planted in the invisible garden. Some germinate in minutes, others in hours, but all are destined to sprout because they were watered with certainty. And what accelerates the process is precisely conscious repetition. Each time the scene returns, each time you seal it again, you are fertilizing, reinforcing, deepening the root of manifestation. Therefore, do not limit the word to cold repetition. Use it as the hammer that fixes the vision in the inner world. See, feel, and then declare, Amen. If you do this, you will not just be saying a word, but signing a sentence in the court of the invisible. And such a sentence cannot be annulled. It must be fulfilled in the visible world. It is almost inevitable. After sealing a desire within yourself, the natural mind begins to look around for proof. You find yourself repeating, has anything changed? Is it coming already? Is it really going to happen? This impulse is the reflection of a consciousness still dependent on the external world. But here is the truth that few accept. Signs only appear after the inner seal, never before. The reflection does not anticipate the mirror's movement. First you assume within, then life reflects it externally. This is one of the biggest mistakes that delay manifestation. One says Amen in the morning, and by evening is already testing reality to see if there has been any response, like someone planting a seed and digging up the earth every hour to see if the root has sprouted. This behavior kills the process. The invisible does not move to prove to you that it is working. It moves to reflect the firm stance of one who no longer needs proof. When you seal inwardly, it's like signing a document. The signature already guarantees the contract, even before delivery. You don't beg the registry office to show you it's registered, you know. And this certainty is what opens the way for changes to appear quickly. Amen works exactly like this. It closes the case before your eyes can see any evidence. When you say Amen, you are affirming that you do not depend on signs to believe. You are decreeing that the invisible has already accepted the request, and that the visible world will merely follow the inevitable script. He who understands this stops monitoring circumstances and begins to monitor only their inner posture. Think of someone who needs money and seals their vision of abundance with Amen. If an unexpected bill appears the same day, the natural reaction would be to say, see, nothing has changed. But this is the test. This is the moment to remain unshakable and respond, Amen, it is already paid. Because what matters is not the external sign, but the internal seal. The external world is slow, dense. It needs time to reorganize itself. The invisible is instantaneous. The moment you seal, it is already done. The visible merely needs to align with the decree. The secret, therefore, is not to watch the world for indications. The secret is to rest in the seal. It is like trusting a package that has already been mailed. You done to see the package. but you know it's on its way because you received confirmation. Amen is that confirmation. Those who rush to seek signs demonstrate that they have not truly sealed. But those who seal and rest invariably see the miracle materialize in a few hours or days. Therefore, when the mind begins to press for proof, silence it firmly. Declare, Amen, and proceed as one who already possesses. This is true faith, not looking outward, but remaining unshakable within. And the result is inevitable. Sooner or later, and often in less than 24 hours, the external world will bow its knee before what was affirmed in your imagination. Have you noticed how the world always seems to want to strip away the confidence you've just embraced? Just decide you're going to prosper, and someone will come talking about a crisis. Just seal a vision of abundance, and an unexpected bill knocks at your door. The old state always tries to call your attention back. It is at this moment that most falter, because they let the external dictate the tone of the internal. But here is the key. Amen is not just a word to use in silence after visualizing. It is also a living response that needs to accompany every step of your day. When someone tells you it's difficult, the economy is broken, you don't need to debate or try to prove anything. Just declare internally, Amen to my abundance. This response cuts the root of external suggestion and keeps you firm in your state. When an unexpected bill appears, instead of being filled with fear and feeling defeated, respond inwardly. Amen, it is already paid. The visible world thinks it can force you to bow, but it doesn't realize that you carry within you a word that ends any threat. Each time you use Amen in this way, you are driving invisible stakes of certainty. It's like hammering a tent into firm ground. Each blow fixes it deeper until nothing can knock it down. The daily Amen is that hammer. It prevents you from being swept away by news, opinions, momentary circumstances. It is the word that transforms every external attack into an internal confirmation. Because every time you seal again, you affirm that the visible does not command you. It merely obeys. Understand that the most subtle enemy is the repetition of the environment. Hearing about crisis every day, seeing bills every day, it is natural to believe that this is your destiny. But when you bring Amen into every situation, you create a new habit, a new reflex. The mind begins to get used to responding with certainty, not despair. And this conditioning changes your vibration, changes your posture, changes your harvest. The invisible finds free passage because there are no more interruptions of doubt. This active use of Amen during the day is the most practical way to trick the natural mind. You catch it by surprise, not allowing it to build stories of fear. You cut the narrative before it grows, and in this silence, this cut, the decree is free to operate. Therefore, do not reserve Amen only for moments of prayer or imagination. Bring it into your routine. Use it as a shield and a sword. Every thought of scarcity, every word of crisis, every bill that tries to haunt you must be answered with this seal. Make this a natural reflex, and you will see how life begins to adjust quickly. Because a mind that responds with Amen in every situation is a mind that does not negotiate with doubt. And faced with this firmness, the world has no choice. It must bow and deliver exactly what you have already confirmed. To live as one who has already sealed everything is to definitively abandon the posture of someone who asks, pleads, or waits for signs to then believe. It is to assume the position of one who has already signed an irrevocable contract in the invisible and now simply enjoys the certainty that the world has no choice but to comply. Many still use the word Amen as a timid plea to heaven, but the true power lies in transforming it into the final seal of all things. After declaring Amen, you do not continue to beg for the same desire, just as no one who has already signed a valid document returns to the registry office to ask for new confirmation. Once sealed, it is done. The role of faith is to live as one who has already received. This means walking, speaking, and reacting as one who already has what they asked for. If you sealed abundance, do not speak like a poor person. Do not react like one who lives at the mercy of luck. Every gesture must carry the posture of one who already possesses. When your senses scream that nothing has changed, remember, the mirror takes an instant to reflect the movement, but it cannot fail. The invisible is immediate. The visible merely follows with a delay. Your role is not to monitor the delay, but to sustain the seal. Here is a point few understand. Living as one who has already sealed means no longer negotiating with the natural mind. When it tries to raise doubts, you don't argue, you don't explain, you don't pray again. You simply rest in Amen. And resting doesn't mean doing nothing, but acting in the world with the confidence of one who already is. You pay a bill as one who knows there will be more provision. You go to work or to a negotiation as one who already carries victory. You respond to circumstances with serenity because you have already decreed the end of the story. This is the courage that transforms the atmosphere around you in 24 hours. The invisible moves quickly when it finds someone who no longer asks, but commands. And Amen is the silent command that cannot be reversed. Therefore, do not allow yourself to go back. Once the seal has been given, remain. Your posture is proof that you truly believed. He who continues to beg demonstrates that he signed nothing. He who seals and rests manifests. So the call is this: live as kings who have already issued their decree. Do not beg for approval. Do not wait for signs. Do not let yourselves be swayed by appearances. Everything is already written in the invisible, and the seal that guarantees it is simple and definitive. Amen. Each time you doubt, remember what has already been stamped. Each step you take it as one who already possesses. It is in this state that life bows, doors open, and money, opportunities, and miracles arrive so naturally that they will seem like coincidences. But you will know it was not by chance, it was the reflection of the seal. Everything you have heard so far points to a single truth. Life does not happen from the outside in, but from the inside out. The visible world is merely an echo, an inevitable reflection of what has been silently assumed in the heart. And the word I give you, Amen, is not a religious ornament, but the invisible seal that closes doubt and gives order to the invisible to manifest. When used consciously, it silences the natural mind, associates itself with vivid images of abundance, cuts off the need for signs, transforms into a firm response in the face of circumstances, and establishes the posture of one who already possesses. You are no longer authorized to live as beggars of life, imploring for external changes. That posture needs to die today. The call is to live as creators, as kings who decree with authority and rest in the certainty of the decree. Use Amen as the final hammer blow that seals what you desire. Use it to cut the cycle of doubt, to engrave the desired scene into the invisible, to respond to the provocations of the external world, and to walk as one who already has. From now on, every true desire that arises within you should not be treated with uncertainty, but sealed immediately with this word. Do not allow the natural mind to drag you back to wavering. The power lies in remaining firm in the seal, because what is affirmed in the invisible must by law manifest in the visible. So rise up, stop waiting for signs and begging for answers. Open your mouth, declare within yourself with conviction, and make Amen the irrevocable sentence of your life. Because when you seal in this way, the universe has no alternative. It bows, it obeys, it delivers. And you will see in less than a day that what seemed impossible was already written, already guaranteed, already alive within you. Amen is not the end. Amen is the beginning of manifestation.